Welcome to Base and Boundaries podcast. I'm your host, Amy G, and this is your one-stop shop for all things mental health and music. Hi, everyone. Welcome back to Base and Boundaries. I'm Amy, and I have another artist today with me who I've just had to pronounce the DJ name a couple of times to make sure I get it right. This is Zaba. Hello, my lovely.
Hello, lovely. How are you doing?
Oh, I'm all right, love. How are you?
Yeah, I'm good, thank you.
Oh, it's so nice to have a
Trying.
lady on. I love it. I love it.
I was just gonna say I'm trying not to die in the heat waves. If I keep patting my
No,
eyes because it's so hot in my room, my eyes are like sleepy.
I have talks all the time with women DJs, and it's like there's becoming so many more of us now, and it's like, oh, it's amazing. But tell everyone about you, like what you do, why you're doing it.
Yeah, so my name is Zaba. I started off as just a DJ. Aren't we all doing that? And then I just got really into music, and then I started to run a collective called Croakheads. We started off as just like a SoundCloud and a group chat, and we just slowly added people to it. And we basically just said it would be nice to showcase more grassroots, smaller artists. So we did lots of guest mixes. And then we slowly evolved into growing into quite a big community. And then venue closure is something that I've always been quite passionate about. I mean, even going back years ago, I was doing low-level local activism or just kind of raising awareness of different campaigns. And I decided to use the platform to talk more about it because I was becoming increasingly concerned about the statistics surrounding venue closure after COVID. And I basically picked up a sign, wrote Save Our Venues on it, made a mix about it, did our first charity event where we ran a stall to donate 100% to Music Venue Trust. And it all just took off really properly from there. And now we're kind of known as a collective that is about raising awareness for music venue closure, talking about the statistics, and just trying to raise as much money as we can for Music Venue Trust.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
That's a massive problem, isn't it? Because there's been, I think the topic of the week for me, talking to various people this week, like I've had a few people in like Belgium and France, they want to come and play in the UK. And they're like, but I can't find anywhere. And I'm like, exactly, because they're all closing. There's been quite a few recently, haven't there? Like been in the news, like these big old venues that they're just like shutting down because they can't keep them alive. And it's just so sad.
Yeah, I mean, like, we're not the only country going through it. I mean, Berlin comes to mind particularly. They're having mass closure. But the problem is not necessarily just venue closure, because there are actually lots of venues that are doing quite well. It's actually more the grassroots, smaller venues that are taking it quite a significant hit at the moment, and they seem to be the ones that are doing the worst financially or barely breaking even. I think it was like 53% of grassroots venues last year. I might be slightly inaccurate, so we might need to check that, but it was in the Music Venue Trust report last year, made no profit whatsoever. And that was on all of their programming for the entire year, which is really concerning, because if you're only breaking even for rent, then you're basically one financial crisis or one bad event from being in the red. And once you're in the red, you have to borrow money, or you're in a serious situation, because then if you have another financial situation, or let's say, like, I don't know, you have to call out a plumber because you're experiencing some kind of repair at your venue, then your venue, it's at risk of closing immediately. And then not to mention also just like, you know, things like noise complaints and different taxes that have come through. I know there's been loads and loads of controversy at the moment to kind of reduce the amount of VAT tax from the government as well, which is a significant contributing factor to small venues closing. But to be honest, like, a lot of it is also because customers are just not going.
Yeah, exactly.
And like, we can talk a lot about all these different factors, and I think pub and hospitality is slightly different because there's also the added difficulty of food and staff of food as well, but and catering. But as well as security for later, because obviously venues mostly have to pay for security and bar staff as well. But when you also factor in just, kind of the main overhead, there's no customers and they're not buying drinks. That is the biggest concern. And I understand the customer's point of view. People say they don't have any money. I think that's a contentious argument. I think there's a difficulty here because I've had several conversations with people where they'll say like, I don't have any money, but then they'll spend 50 quid every weekend on a high profile event ticket with multiple stacked artists on a lineup in another city where they have to travel to. And it's really difficult because I don't want to judge them because I understand that it's about value for money as well.
Of course, yeah.
Quality over quantity. If you can't stretch your weekly budget as much as you used to, of course you're going to prioritize an event that's only £20 a ticket for all the artists you like versus a £5 local event where you still have to pay a lot in alcohol. So you're going to think, is it
worth it? Yeah.
I get it. I totally get it. But we are also seeing thousands of job closures. And I think, for example, this year in the first 3 months, and this is just pubs, by the way, I'm not talking about grassroots music venues, but I'm including pubs because pubs obviously frequently host live events.
That's right,
and they do host live drum and bass events quite regularly in the evenings and Fridays as well. But this year, in the first 3 months, so between January and March, we lost 161 pubs. And of those 161 pubs, we lost 2,400 jobs.
Jeez.
And that's just the first 3 months. And we don't have consistent, reliable, accurate data yet to make proper published statements yet about the rest of the year. It's not looking good. The forecast at the beginning of this year was 500 pubs to close. So we met nearly half, if we're thinking it's nearly to 250, or at least nearly a quarter of that in the first 3 months. This is not good. And we, as in the customers paying for the events that we go to, are going to be the most affected.
Yeah.
Because we are not going to have jobs. We're not going to be able to afford it to do anything because we won't be able to have a job because the venues we rely upon to pay us the money to be able to book the tickets will have to close.
Yeah, exactly.
So I think balance is absolutely essential for a thriving economy. It's at this point, it's not even just about rave preferences. It's about an actual stable economy for the UK.
And I find it that, my background's hospitality. So I worked in hospitality for years and I've been in businesses that have closed. And I used to do, I worked in a chain restaurant up until late last year. And I was one of the managers. So I used to do like the cashing up and stuff like that. And when you would notice patterns, like it would be really, really busy around payday.
Yeah.
And it would kind of climb like this and then go bam. Whereas 15 years ago when I worked in hospitality, it was kind of steady like that. It was always peaks and troughs, but not anymore. It is a literal dip dive. And then you'd be sending people home because there's no, you have like a margin of your on your rota with how many staff members you can have on. And if no one's turning up, you're getting sent home. Then they're out of pocket because their hours are being cut. And it's just a spiral. I've seen it massively firsthand, like the dive, but you don't think about it until you work in that industry. How dangerous it's becoming. There's a pub there's a pub around the corner from me, and it's on, I've lived here 3 years and it's on, I think it's 6th owner because
one of our local pubs literally just up the road has just had to have replacement for ownership as well. Because we spoke to the owners and they were like, there's literally nothing we can do. We can't afford it. They were like, oh, we're done. To be honest, they were just like, we're done. We've tried. We can't afford it anymore. We're in debt. We need to go. And they've moved up north because it's cheaper.
Yeah, that is actually true. Like I don't know how people live like London and stuff like that. It's just stupid money. When I go to raves and stuff like that and I go to London and I'm driving down there and sometimes I will like park up somewhere and I'll look and see what the house prices are and stuff like that, and I'm thinking, flipping heck, where I live you can get that so much cheaper. It's actually like what is going on in the UK? Like, it's just going crazy at the
I
moment.
think part of it, in my honest opinion, is prioritizing the way that we prioritize where we go is directly impacting smaller events. And I think, as I said before, a lot of it is value for money. If you don't have expendable income as much as you'd like, of course, you're going to save slightly more towards an event where it's artists you actually know. You're going to take less risks on a program of artists that you don't know. But then part of what I do with Croquettes is kind of say to people like, look, we have a £5 entry ticket. You don't have to buy a drink,
No,
but you can come in and chat to us and just get to know us and come watch some people. And most of the time that I've had these conversations with people at bars and pubs like the Castle, they've stayed the whole night. And they've actually been really interested, and they actually followed us on Instagram or bought something from our store, like an item of merch with our logo on it.
that's love.
I remember there was these like 3 lads who came to our brat event and like they had no idea what was going on. They were just in the pub upstairs. They were like, we really like drum and bass. Can we come in? I was like, yeah, it's fiver, but like, of course you can. And they came in. They were like, who are all these artists? And I was like, they're just local grassroots people who are just like small DJs. And they're like, oh, I've not heard of them before. And in the end, like they were like some of the people who were enjoying it the most. And at the end, they followed us and they bought beanies so they could take them home.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah, I know. And it's like I think it's also, as a promoter, you have a really big responsibility. And this is what I've always said since the beginning. You have a really big responsibility to invest in the local area and the local people.
Of course.
So like we try really hard to make sure we book local artists, local collectives, because especially like when I go to Bristol, okay, to run an event, like for me, from my perspective, I don't consider it too dissimilar to me being almost like a local because I lived there before. So it's like I know the area, I went to university there, like I've lived there for a few years. So it's like just going, for me, it's like going back home. But also, I don't live there anymore. So I still have to be mindful that my impact is that I'm taking a programming time from someone else who could have booked that event who is local. So I always make sure to book a local artist. Now, on top of that as well, obviously booking local artists is more likely to increase attendance, and that's very fair too. But in my honest experience, you know, sometimes I've run events where in the beginning we didn't have many local artists and we had still very good attendance. So I think a lot of it is also just the message and the vision of the promoter and how you organize that too. But yeah, with we're doing an event on the 8th of August. We're raising money to help the Save the Post Bar campaign. They're trying to create some kind of community ownership for the venue since it closed. If that's unsuccessful, then they're going to donate that money towards some Tottenham community projects. But if I'm just kind of like, it's just in the background on my computer. I'm just looking at the people on our lineup, and we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 London collectives. So that kind of gives you an idea. Like we try really hard to make sure we do this, but yeah, I think it's really difficult because like when you're like for us now, we've done so many events at the castle that, to be honest, when we've gone there, people have actually said, oh, I saw you last time, and they've recognized our logo. If you're a small promoter, I do think if you're starting, one of the pieces of advice I'd give you is try, if you are able to find a venue you can regularly book, especially if they roll over your deposit, because obviously you're saving so much money and you're actually helping the venue because they're happy to have you back if they want.
That's a really good idea. I think that's the problem, especially like where I live, there isn't any, if you want, venues where people can go and do this kind of stuff. Because I live in base. So I am literally on the border with Burton-on-Trent. There's a lot of stuff that's going on in Burton. Loads of stuff going on in Burton.
So you know about Burton Base and all of those guys.
Well, do you know what? It's so funny. So many people have said, "Oh, you know about Burton Base? You know about?" And I was like, "Yeah, I've heard of it." And then now I'm in touch with them, and that's the thing, because I do, like, I suppose through my podcast I do promotion, and people get to know the artists through what I do. And it's like, that's the thing. I think with like the artists world and promotion world and all these kind of things that we're all doing in the arts, if you will, a lot of time you give away for free. And in this day and age,
tell
it is
you all about that.
oh my days, it's so hard because it's like I need to pay my bills as well. And it's very difficult to pay your bills when you're giving so much time away for free. And so it's very difficult, very, very difficult. And it, you know, like you say, keeping venues alive. I mean, Nathan Dorr, he's doing a lot. Like he's got like 2 Isabel restaurants in Burton now. And he's opening up a tapas bar. So he's got like 3 buildings. So he's got 3 venues. But as much as I love what he's doing for Burton, and I do, I've tried to get hold of him numerous times. I think because I've not got status, I'm more grassroots. And I think sometimes we all have to realize we're all human and we're people. And I think grassroots is like, people remember they all came from that. You know?
I mean, to add to that, I think like I have been told that I'm exceptionally unique in the fact that I do not have any compelling desire to actually pursue a headline career. I do not want to play for top organized brands. I am very outspoken about some top labels and organizations, often seen as controversial. I personally think in 5 to 10 years' time, people will start to reflect on what I'm saying. And I think part of the reason that people are so hesitant is, you know, when you are so attached to, you know, major brands and major labels, you kind of, it is hard to take a step back to look objectively at kind of what's going on and what they're doing.
Yeah, sure.
For example, like I was talking to one of my friends who obviously went to hospitality on the beach for Hospital Records. Now, I love Hospital Records. I have a whole playlist of their songs on my Spotify. I've bought so much of their music. I have gone to their events. I love what they do. I love their artists. I am not a fan of the fact that we're in a venue closure crisis, and the majority of their bookings have been, you know, not like as in the most prominently promoted ones have not been in venues in the UK. Like if I'm thinking about it, like when I've seen adverts, the majority of the adverts that I've seen for them have been about Croatia or about Butlins. Now, I understand that that could be seen as a controversial take. I know not many people will agree with me here, but I just don't think you can advocate yourself as someone who is promoting grassroots if you're going to behave in that way in terms of your booking choices and decisions. And it's just like, it's really difficult because we also have major labels now kind of running huge events with the same stacked lineups over and over and over and over and over again. And people always say, oh yeah, D&B All Stars. And I'm like, it's not just them. It's not just them. And they always get scapegoated. And I know that there's controversies with how they do kind of contracts with their artists, and I know that there have been concerns about the way that they have treated some artists before. I'm saying this allegedly because obviously I don't know if
it's completely true. And all that.
Exactly. I'm being very careful with my wording here. I'm just saying generally this is the perception, but it's not just them. And like I've had arguments with people where I've pointed out, like, I'm not being funny, but like there are so many organizations at the moment who don't book local, or they don't invest in local collectives, and they kind of bring in all their artists on their roster into cities, which is fine to an extent if you're doing a tour, but when it is a regular booking and you're promoting this idea that you are kind of like the pinnacle of your genre, I do believe that you have a responsibility to at least make the public aware of things that are happening to the grassroots D&B scene. And I know some people disagree with me. That's absolutely fine. But I believe that it is actually hindering on investing on the future. I mean, Hospital Records just closed their clinic agency. Like, this is not good for the
Mm,
future of the scene. All this is going to do is push the same artists over and over again, harming the trajectory of newer artists who are already struggling to get out there with the new algorithm challenges that other
yeah,
artists that are famous now didn't have to face so much 10 years ago.
bingo.
And it's causing divide, and it also means that smaller promoters and smaller venues in the area just suffer. I mean, like when I was talking to like Basement 45, like, you know, we've run so many events there, and even when we've had really good attendance, like I remember there was like one night where we still had, upon nearly closing time, um, about 45 to 50 people in the venue, and we'd only booked one room. And this was like towards the end of the night. So
Yeah,
we'd
yeah,
had more people in the venue and we'd done quite well on the door, but because we hadn't sold enough drinks, we had to close early, which I'll talk about in a second. But it's like, fair enough, as you were saying before, in terms of like staffing costs and things, you do as a promoter have to show empathy. You do have to
of
understand,
course,
and it's
yeah,
no point getting into an argument with the manager about it, because you have to have empathy that the manager doesn't want to make that choice either, because they're also losing money
of
if
course,
they're not taking in customers. So why would they want to close?
exactly.
And they don't like it because they know you won't book them. So if they only do that if they have no choice. And I was kind of like, oh, so frustrated because we had so many people in there, but they didn't buy enough drinks, or the bar decided that they hadn't met enough money.
The quota,
Maybe
yeah,
people were more sober, they're drinking more soft drinks and stuff. I don't know. But I remember like having a conversation and just kind of the fact that we had a successful night, really. And I think we broke even on our deposit. Like that is like the level of success it actually was on paper. But now it's like I'm not sure whether to work with that venue again in like that time around that time, because
yeah,
I don't know if I can take the risk of the fact that I kept losing so many sets, because I had to basically constantly over the last couple of months change the timetable because we kept closing early, even though we had a good attendance. And then we got to a point where basically I was always losing my set time, or always having to suddenly go back to back with someone I wasn't prepared to go back to back with.
oh,
On the other hand, I've gotten a lot more experience with DJing because I've had to be thrown into very like unexpected situations, or just had to get on with it. I've also been told we're closing and then suddenly been told we're not, so I have to run over with a USB and just get on with the set. So it's taught me a lot about being a DJ as well. But yeah, and the problem is that, whenever we've had these issues, there's always been a major event on by a major label in the same area. Now, I'm
mm,
not saying those people shouldn't book those venues. Obviously, I still want them to thrive. I still want them to be successful. But I do think that there needs to be some level of cooperation, or some
yeah,
level of understanding or support. Like, they don't let us flyer outside their events, or it could be the venue, to be fair. I'm not going to say that's entirely the promoter's fault. Um, but like, there's no symbiotic relationship anymore. The only exception to that rule, I would say, is Jungle Cates do a fantastic job of working with local promoters. And Overview, I noticed on their lineups they've started booking local collectives, which I think is very smart. I think they
yeah,
understand the direction that the scene is going in. Overview in particular, I noticed their Volks lineup, I think it was in June, they'd booked people like Divergent Audio. I think this is smart. I think it's really smart. It's a really smart investment into the local scene. These are very popular DJs and very popular people in the local scene. They are the
exactly.
next generation of DJs.
Yeah,
And you can curate and you can try to formulate a you can formulate if you want, or try to force the creation of a DJ. You can promote them, you can market them, you can make them look beautiful on a banner or whatever. You cannot recreate the local following of someone who's committed to the community.
Exactly.
You can't do it because like people will show up for people who show up for them.
Yeah.
It's true. And like I've
No, it's
had
true.
people show up to Croquet's events just to see me, which I've not expected, and they've come up to me. Like this guy bought me donuts.
Ah,
Up and was like, "Here's some donuts," but because they know how hard we're working and what we want to help, and they know that we're doing everything we can to use our platform to raise awareness of this issue, so they show up. And I think if you want to invest in the future of drum and bass, yes, we need new producers, yes, we need new artists, but we also need the local people. We need to go back to the model of booking people who are actually wanted in local community settings
absolutely.
rather than just, hey, I've got this really cool artist who's done some really cool music. Yes, we need to give them a platform as well, but there needs to be a balance.
I agree with you. And this is the thing, like everything you've said, as a sort of a promoter myself and somebody that is taking grassroots artists and giving them a platform to talk about themselves and talk about their story. Let me tell you as a consumer how I find it. When I go to grassroots events, and I do, and you know, I work with some like local people, and getting into your local area sometimes can be quite overwhelming because you know people and people know you, and it can be a bit like, I know you but I don't, you know. And when you kind of travel around, you get to know people from all over the world, and it's amazing. But the thing for me, for big events, and I've just been to one, I went to Worried About Henry a couple of Sundays ago, that was ran by Louder UK and also Silverworks. And obviously they've got like Pendulum, they've got all these big people, you know. And then you've got like a second stage of like not so big people, which I liked. I did like that. And that was a lot of grassroots stuff. The only thing that I would say that really stressed my brain out is that I mean, these were all big names and I love every single one of them. And it's not taken away from that because they've definitely earned their place up there, you know. I tried to get what's called a press pass and, you know, try and go do interviews, give them some exposure. But because I am effectively a nobody, I never even got an email back. And I found that really disheartening.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like, mate, I'm asking to do it for free. Like, you don't even have to pay me. Like, I'm begging you to, like, give me a shot. And I think and that's the same with a lot of DJs, isn't it? Because you're effectively with these bigger scenes, record labels and stuff like that. There's a lot of people that are now going, I've got to work so hard to get up there, but I don't even know how anymore because it's changed so significantly. I've seen it in like the country music sort of scene as well. I used to be like really into country music. I used to love it. Absolutely love it. Not so much now. But I did see that as well. And like I was an emo in sort of 2006, 2007. And like that was another thing. Like you'd have like grassroots bands like playing in bars in Nottingham where I'm from. And now majority of those like collective places, they're gone. They're all gone.
Yeah.
In favor of like Nottingham Arena and stuff like that. So
yeah. Oh my god. And then I believe it's Milton Keynes has like plans for like a 10,000 capacity stadium. No one wants this. No one needs this. Also, wasn't there like a new warehouse venue that was coming out in London and they were like, we're going to curate an incredible artist experience and we're only going to host like 8 events a year. And it's like, who cares? No one wants this. Everyone wants more money for smaller venues. Just go to a smaller venue, like no, like Book Bricks in London. They do so much grassroots stuff in their local community, and they have a really good capacity to book the venue. Just go there.
Yeah, literally. There was like when I was like 18, and I go down Nottingham, sort of like go down Hockley in Nottingham. There was all these like underground bars and events, and dubstep was like sort of like jungle and stuff like that. I used to go out with a DJ years ago and he oh my god, and he used to do like dubstep events and stuff like that, and it was so good because like I say, you get to know like the local people, the local artists, but like these people, like, you know, like big names, they all came from this, and that's what people forget. They didn't just get like Subfocus wasn't given a key to a flipping town, was he? Like just like that, you know. Oh, you
Well,
probably would get one,
to be
but
honest, one of the biggest challenges as a promoter is actually now doing the promotion. So like, you know how you're talking about playing for free and like, always giving up your time for free.
yep.
I can relate, but also I can't, because actually the majority of what I do is paying for me to pay. So like, so for example, the Brat event that we did in Bristol, I paid
Yeah, yeah.
for the entire deposit. I paid for the headliner. I paid for my travel. I paid for um, some merch for the Beyblade team. I paid for the DJ competition prize. I paid for um, some drinks for a couple of people to say thank you for coming all the way from London. Um, I just lots and lots of small things. I bought all the stock for the stall, which is 100% at a loss to us. I don't mind doing this, but because like I have my routines now and I have my budgets that I make work with the
Yeah.
way that I can afford it. But when people say to me like, oh, like I play for free, I'm like, I basically pay hundreds of pounds to play if it's like one of my own events that I run. And if I do get booked by another promoter, I never ask for money, because I'm like, I can't do this to this
Mm.
promoter. And I think a lot of artists, I do genuinely get that you want to be paid for your craft. I get it, but you have to understand, if you want to be paid, you do have to support with promotion, because I also paid for the ads and the flyers and the posters. And yes, I am very lucky that I had really good support from people to be able to help to do some reels for me, or to be able to put posters up, or to hand out flyers. I'm so grateful. And our ambassador team is super, super supportive in that area, which again, really
Yeah.
grateful. But I still had to front the costs of all of this. So it's like, I've had artists say, am I getting paid? And I'm like, I'm not even breaking even on the deposit. I think a little empathy is really important here.
Of course.
Like, and I get it. I get it. It's really hard. But like, I would now never expect to be paid, because I understand how much money it's taken just to run the event.
Yeah.
And if people want regular events, they do need to understand to be a bit flexible. Like, it's really challenging. And like, I would love to pay people. I would
Yeah.
love to pay people. I would love to charge slightly more for tickets and be able to pay every single artist at least 20, 30 quid. Not much, but at least they're paid something. I
Yeah,
want
that's
to
it.
do that, but I can't do that if people don't buy tickets in advance. Because the problem is that because people don't buy tickets in advance, venues often either cancel or they put pressure to postpone. I have to reduce the ticket prices to try to get people in the door. Like when we did our Brat event in London, for the first 2 hours, I basically said, I know not many people are going to come at this time. I'm only going to charge £4, because I was like, I just need people in the venue. And
Of
then
course.
as the night got busier, then I just put my prices back to where it's normal. I shouldn't have to do this.
No.
But this is the reality, and I do wish artists could shadow a promoter for like a few weeks sometimes and just get to know. Like, I've had arguments with artists where they won't accept a collaboration tag because they're like, oh, it's going to make my feed messy, and I'm like, okay, then why are you paying for my event? Like, if you don't want
Yeah.
to have our artwork on your profile, if you're not proud to come and play for the event, I want to book someone who is. I'd rather book someone who actually cares about the theme and is really excited and is going to share that with people on their
Of
story.
course.
Artists need to get, and they need to understand, as the economy gets worse, as there are several venue closures, as there are um, more and more situations where promoters are pushed out of clubs because they have to go to more mainstream commercial promoters because they have to make money, because if they don't, they're going to close. If you are lucky enough to be able to book an event,
Mm.
you have to prioritize people who bring in people. You have no
Yeah.
choice. Now, people assume this means people with lots of followers. I no. Actually, every time we've booked people with several thousand followers, no one's come to watch them. And I've had situations where like people have really been like, oh, this person's really big on TikTok. They have loads of commenters, they have loads of followers. People come watch them. They don't bring in anyone. So ultimately, if artists also want to get booked, they need to understand you need to go to local events, you need to build a relationship with the local
Yes, you do.
promoters, and you also need to promote your event to at least your friends. You need to share ticket links. You need to do the collaboration tags. If you don't do this, promoters will favor people who they know will bring 5 mates over an artist who brings 2 people.
Exactly.
I'm sorry, I know it's really, really rubbish, and it's hard because like I want to give smaller artists a chance who might not bring anyone. So I try to balance as much as I can. I sometimes do book people who are really small, who genuinely just need a chance. And like for our Brat event, I booked 2 people who just started DJing because I thought they were good enough. But I had put them back to back with other people.
I
This is
like
what,
that.
and this is what as a promoter you have to do, because it's just like you have to make sure the venue gets money, because if
Bingo.
the venue doesn't get money, you're not getting a booking again, and or they're reluctant to work with you again, or they will close. That's the reality. It's sad,
But
but
you're
it's
right,
true.
though. No, you're absolutely right. Because if you're not putting, I think like sometimes I mean, I've had it with podcasting where I've had guests on and I've like, can you share my podcast of you on your socials? They're like, no. But why are you coming on then?
Yeah,
Like,
exactly.
why are
It's
you coming on
rude.
if you don't want to be promoted?
I think
And then
it's
it's like
rude.
the after party. Like I still call it the after party, like the aftermath of the podcast. Like I've had people on and afterwards they've just gone off. They've never spoke to me again,
Oh.
despite trying. But then I have got the most beautiful souls on my Instagram that I've got hundreds of messages in there, and then people are like, "Oh, you've not booked me in yet," and I'm like, "There's one of me. I have like 50
Yeah.
requests for podcasts. Just leave me to it. Like, I will get round to you." But like, some people, like we talked about Joy, and
No, I love him.
we just love him, don't we? We love RJ, bless him. He's, like he'll just message me every now and again and see how I am, and like
Yeah, he does the same
that
to me.
means
If
so
I'm not
much.
venting to him.
I know,
Oh,
like,
God.
or people pronouncing his name wrong.
I'm gonna call him. What was it?
Majoy.
Majoy. I'm gonna call him Majoy now. I'm just gonna
Majoy.
call him that
He'll laugh
until he
at this
gets
when this
mad.
comes out. But like, I can go through my list now. Like, I'm just going through my Instagram list now, and I'm like, speak to them, speak to them, speak to them. But even like some of the bigger artists, like Coven, she's just like, I messaged her out, but I was like, look, I know you've just become a mom, but actually, I'm at an event in October
Oh,
where you're going to be. I'd love to interview you. She's like, I can't at the moment, but we'll sort something. And like,
that's really sweet.
that means the world to
I
me.
had a similar conversation with Degs. He's really nice.
Ah,
Yeah.
that's amazing. Like some of the people, like with, I hate saying the word status, like that are up there, they
Yeah.
do genuinely care about you. And
Yeah,
like,
of course.
even
And
1991, he'll
but
like some of my
he's
stuff.
lush. I
He's
love
just
him.
such a babe, isn't he? Like,
But I think part of it is like when I talk about kind of like frustrations with high branding and their lack of awareness raising, charity fundraising and support for kind of smaller venues.
yeah,
I'm not necessarily saying I don't like them. Like as I said before, I still listen to their music and I still support the artists on those labels, and I will still add their music to our playlist if I think the
with
music
you.
is good. So it's like I still support them in other ways, but it's more just like a frustration with the promoter who is watching. The honest thing is, I'm just watching the system fall apart. It's horrible.
I know.
I think like when you're just a DJ or just an artist, you don't understand. You step in as a promoter and it's heartbreaking. You're literally watching the system collapse,
Yeah.
and there's nothing you can do about it, and it's devastating.
It's
And
like the tower's crumbling, isn't it? So you've
yeah,
got the people up at the top, the artists and the promoters and stuff up at the top. They're going to be fine. But it's the people at the bottom that are going,
but
as I
it's
say,
the
yeah,
staff I worry about. It's my
yeah,
friends who work in pubs
Yep.
who are going to lose their jobs. People don't understand how severe this is going to be economically for the country. Like, I'm 25 million people in the UK don't have access to regulatory circuits. 16% don't have any access to a nightclub. That's over
Wow.
175 towns, cities. That's shocking.
That
That
is
should
bad.
scare people. But it's like when I tell people this, they're like, "Oh yeah, that's
Oh,
really
well,
sad."
never
And then they
mind.
book a
Yeah.
major event, and I'm like, "Oh," like I was having a conversation with someone. I was just like, "Look, like if the best thing you can do right now is to stop going to events that are not in small venues or large venues with grassroots support." So I was like, if you want to go to Fabric or something like this, fine, because like they do loads for the grassroots scene. They book grassroots collectives, they book grassroots DJs, they have a long-standing history in the community of grassroots and ethical support for lots of different types of people and lots of different groups and organizations. But yeah, so fine. I don't care about stuff like this. But it's like if you really want to help, actively, proactively help, just go to some small events every now and then.
Yeah.
And they'll go, yeah, 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 and then they won't do it. So it's really tricky. And I think partly that's why what we do at Crocus is so valuable, because I know people who are like, I'm not going to go to lots of small events, and I do really like Worried About Henry still, but they'll still come to ours and they'll buy something from our stall. And I just kind of bite my tongue and I'm like, at least they donated to Music Venue Trust. It's better than nothing.
Yeah, of course.
But like I'm in despair. I honestly don't think we'd do it. I don't think people realize how bad it is. And as I said before, 2,400 job losses in the first 3 months of this year. We're in for a really, really serious job loss ratio this year in hospitality, full stop, generally. It really concerns me. And I know the government say they've done all these different initiatives, but it's too late. It's too late. The business they're already under. The time to do these initiatives was before COVID.
Gotcha.
It was already crumbling apart back in 2017. Like the time to do all of this was years ago. I'm sure that there's time to repair the situation long term to be able to keep some stuff open. The market and the economy will always repair itself eventually.
It does, yeah.
But I think it's more about the cultural impact and how many spaces we'll lose. I mean, Cardiff is already basically not programming any drum and bass events. This is reality. This is coming. When I look at like the Oxford's programming for my local area, there's hardly any drum and bass here anymore.
No, it's not where I live either, really.
We're supposed to have like a whole club that's supposed to be dedicated to lots of jungle nights based on their history of how they existed up in reggae as well. And yet it's predominantly becoming pop and house. I think I'm running one of the only drum and bass events this month. That's crazy.
That
And
is
it's
crazy.
like, and I get there are small pubs that are now doing it, but guess who is running that? Guess who are doing that? The student societies and the small promoters.
Yeah.
And guess how much they're spending? Hundreds of pounds just to keep the culture going. Those are the people who are who I believe right now are the actual unsung heroes of the scene, who have no money, who are spending all their money just to keep their local club open. Why do we idolize people so much who take so much money from the scene? Like, I won't say which artist this is, but I found I don't want to get in trouble, but I found out that someone I know was booked by a collective I know. I'm being very careful with it.
That's fine.
£4,000.
Eh? What they got?
£4,000.
That's what they wanted. 4 grand.
1 hour set.
That's disgusting.
I think it's from a small collective.
And for 4 grand, you could have had literally 8 hours worth of DJs for an entire night for 4 grand.
No, for 4
And
grand, you could have had 3 years worth of programming.
Yeah.
With local headliner.
That's actually barbaric. And I think you
cannot break even on that.
You can't.
I would just say no. I'm not paying that. Sorry.
No. Do you know what upsets me though? I think and there was the DJ. No, sorry, the artist that I spoke to this morning was having a similar conversation about this, and it was like, people tend to go into these kinds of jobs for the wrong reasons.
I agree.
Why are you going into, why do I do what I do? And I said, well, because I like doing what I do, because I help people, I give exposure to people, I'm a community worker. I work in the community all the time. I do like a separate thing, but like having those connections, I love people, and I love being able to work on myself and showcase that, and you know, that kind of thing. But then there'll be someone out there that goes, I want to break bank, I want to be rich. That's not the right reason.
You're not going to be.
No, and it won't work. You can't, if you don't go in the right mindset and the right reasons, it's not going to work.
I think it's also important that we all have slightly different mindsets, right? Because like as an artist, so like I'm learning to produce. I'm interested to
Nice.
see when I start releasing in 3 years' time how my views change. Yeah, and I'm open to the fact that I may slightly lean more towards favor of artists after that experience, but I might not. We'll see. We'll see in 3 years' time how that shapes me. But with that, like I think it's really important to have people who really value and favor artistic integrity, and that they
Yeah.
really crave their sound to do well, and they love their genre, and they love their genre's movement and the history of the genre's movement. They're really important for pushing the scene because they keep the culture alive and they play the music that we, host at our events. That's really important. They're usually
Absolutely.
the more introverted people. And then you also have people who just, as you say, love people. They're really good as promoters. They're really good as gatherers and information spreaders. I'd say that's probably where more I come in because
Yeah.
I'm very talkative. I'm very confident in front of a camera. I'm the ideal type of person to be doing a campaign to raise awareness about something. So that's why I do it. But also I just really like music as well, so it's a bonus. So that's good. And then obviously I'd spend a lot of my time doing like activism and charity fundraising, so that's fine. And then you also have people who are just really passionate about their local area, their local people. They love watching their friends succeed, and they're really trying to help people aspire to like a local level of notoriety. That's
Yeah.
also really important. They're also good people to work with in terms of booking, but they're usually people who run small local collectives who give local people opportunities. All of this is really, really important to have a healthy ecosystem. But because we now have so much algorithm focus, I speak to so many people in the scene who are like, give me advice on algorithm before they speak to me about anything we do. And I told them over and over, they're like, how come you get so many bookings? And I'm like, because I don't care about the algorithm. The reason that we get so many bookings is because I get my logo out there as much as I can. I've invested in merch, I've invested in stickers, I've invested in badges. I gave people loads of free sticker packs to take to festivals. I always ask for my logo to be on a poster. I really push for it all the time. And then also I do believe your logo has to be associated with some kind of value behind it or sentimental nostalgic feeling for it to be remembered favorably enough that people will be like, hey, I know them, I want to go to their event. So then I try and curate a lot of what we do around the logo's vision. So like that has been an enormous part of our success.
Yeah.
But that's not algorithm, that's relationship building and reputation
Bingo.
building. Like I get asked to play simply because people will be like, hey, you're the girl who did the list about female DJs. I really respect that. And it's like I just posted that randomly at 7:30 a.m. on like a random weekday. Like
That's the way to do it.
if your brand is likable enough, it doesn't matter what you do with algorithm or how you do that. People will look for you. They will
Bingo.
come onto your profile. They will search for you. Um, and I know this because I've had people tell me this.
Yeah.
I've had people approach me at the end of the night and say, I want to come back to the next one. Like, and I think like you were saying, there's so many people who just don't understand that. They just think like, oh, I need to go and get loads of followers. But as I said before, when we've booked people with loads of followers, no one turns up. And it's like sometimes I'm like, are you paying for your followers? Because like I'm not being funny, but like how are you on 20K and nobody's turned up for you or don't understand?
Mm.
Like it used to be that like if someone had 10K followers, it was a really reliable metric for being like, okay, this person is popular, like people really like them. Like 10
Yeah.
years ago, someone with 10K followers, I'd be like, oh wow, they're probably an influencer. And or like an aspiring YouTuber or something
Yeah,
who
sure.
probably gets regular people. Now I know algorithm is challenging here, so I'm not saying it's entirely their fault. I get that some people may struggle with like the new system, but like I've had people show up more for someone with 400 followers than they have for someone with 10K.
Yeah.
So then you look at comments on their posts when you're booking. And as a promoter, so I've been doing this nearly 2 years now, so I'm still fresh, but also enough time to kind of know about
Sure.
some tips and tricks. But I say to other promoters, like, look at the comments on their posts. If they are predominantly emojis, question that.
Yeah.
Because I know that some people just post emojis quickly because they're tired and they want to show their friends support. That's fine. I do that too. I totally understand. But if consistently over every single reel, even like one about an emotionally driven content piece they did, is always emojis, they're either buying them or they're sending messages out to people to ask them to like and comment, and people are just quickly
Right.
supporting. That's my theory. I can't prove
I
it, but
have a
that's my
theory
theory.
about that happened to me a couple of weeks ago, and I had to message like 100 people that followed me. So I had an account follow all of my friends and family, and obviously artists on Instagram. And most of them, some of them followed back, some didn't, and they didn't follow me. And some people were messaging me. This is like 3 a.m. Hi, Amy. Like, do you know this DJ? And I'm like, no. So I go on it. AI Suno music straight away. I knew from a mile off it was. And
Yeah.
so I messaged them and I said, why have you followed like even my mom, which is really weird. Like, why would you follow my mom on Instagram? Like, it's very weird. She follows me to support me. Like, she doesn't follow anyone else, just like me. And he was like, well, I'm just following people that I thought might like D&B. I'm like, well, my mom hates D&B. Sorry, guys, but my mom does. She's more of an 80s gal, but, you know, 80s rock kind of gal. But, you know, but all these people that this man was following, it was just, he followed 26,000 people, like spam follow. That's not how you do promotive work. That's not
No,
what you do, because he only had like 3,000 followers in return for mass following.
this is why I reluctantly follow back now. I used to follow back everyone, and then I realized that it was just all follow for follow. But like, I'm very reluctant about it now.
I
I
don't know. Yeah.
frequently, sorry, not frequently. I do not frequently do this. I do not have time to do this frequently. Um, but I have gone through my follows and just checked, and it's just like I've removed so many people.
I've
Not just
started doing that.
unfollowed, I've honestly just started removing people because I'm like, I know you're doing this to others, I'm just not interested. There are some collectives who do this. Again, I'm not going to say who, but there is a prominent collective that everybody knows. They have a reputation for it, and it's just that they need to understand that like people do talk and people do say that they know, and it does impact your reputation. Like okay, like speaking of like this kind of stuff, um, it's really hard because like I really do understand how tricky it is to reach followers.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I literally have to do this myself. I get it. I really get it. I don't know why we're not eligible for a channel. I've tried like 4 times. Like people I know with less followers have a channel. I'm like, am I just bad?
I wouldn't even know how to do that. Like,
Yeah, but
no.
other people have one who've got let's follow anyway, whatever. I'm not gonna moan about that today. Take my trauma out of this conversation. Um, but like I get it. It's so hard to reach people. I frequently post stuff where people are like, oh, I didn't see that. Like I had someone message
Me
being like, oh,
too.
I didn't know you were in Bristol for the Brat event. I would have come. I'm like, oh, that's really sad. But it's like you can't always reach everyone and you have to accept that. But like when I get so many I nearly swore. I get so
No, you're
many
fine. You're fine.
no, it's my students. I don't want them to hear. I get so many spam messages just being like, oh, can you like and comment this? Oh, here's a new post we've done. Oh, here's this. I'm really sorry. I cannot read these. I don't have capacity. I'm the only one running this account and
Absolutely.
my DJ account. I tried to separate it so I had a personal account for a while where like people could message me on a personal basis, but everybody just messaged me on my DJ one anyway. So I was like, what is the point then? So I deactivated that. And then so I did try. And then with the Kroger's account, I I'm not joking. On average, we get 20 messages a day, which doesn't
Can
sound like a
imagine.
lot, but that's like
No,
a
it is a
hundred
lot,
messages
especially
by
when you run your
Friday.
own, for
And
sure.
most of them are people saying, "Can I play for you?" No, I'm just now I just don't even open them. I know it sounds rude, but I'm like, you don't come to our events, you don't even follow me. Like you built no relationship with us whatsoever. Like why am I going to pick you? It's
Exactly.
different if it's like an agent. I'm more a bit patient with that because I understand they're just doing their job. When it's like a small artist who's like it's just like, oh, can I play for you? I always reply with, yeah, I'm more than welcome to consider people that we know. Feel free to come to our next event and say hello. They always either ghost or they don't come. So that's a really effective way. But I'm going to have to set up automated messages and I'm going to have to basically come up with some new kind of system. I've got a website where I've now got it so it's an email system. I know people are less likely to email, but if someone's gone through the effort to find our website and email me, I'm more likely to reply to you.
I would,
Like if you messaged me and be like, I really want to play via email, and you're like, I just want to get in touch with you somehow, I'm more likely to actually reply. Um, but it's like I get so many from smaller collectives as well who just spam. It's spam. I'm sorry, it is spam. I get so many. Like I've had to like move so many people to a general folder. And like because I miss so much. If I don't move them to a general folder, I miss so many important messages.
yeah, me
I
too.
I cannot I don't care about the random reel that you did. I'm sorry if that's rude, and I appreciate that's a really rude thing to say. But it's like I'm trying to do bookings and talk to people about really important campaign projects and fundraising things
No,
and
it's right
activism
though.
work.
Yeah.
I'm really happy for you that you did your DJ reel. Please, can you send it to my personal account? This is not the place. And yeah, and those people, I give them mentally in my head, I give them one chance. If they do it again, I move them straight to general folder. I never open it again. And I have to do this for my mental health because we're talking about boundaries as well.
Oh my
Boundary that I
God,
have
the
set support myself to reduce my workload. And I'm going to start an automated system, as I said, and I'm going to start directing
I
people
think
to
I'm having
email.
to with this as well because I'll tell you why. I had last week, and it could be legit, it might not be, but I had somebody who was a musician. But they had an interesting story and I wanted to and they were all for it, but then they stood me up 3 times in the space of a week. Now,
Oh,
I could be interviewing people that are like I've got a waiting list now. Like
yeah.
that's how busy it's getting. I interviewed Skybread yesterday and I showed him my calendar and he was like, wow. I was like, yeah, I'm busy. Like I'm really, really busy. But that's the thing. I don't want to be sitting here waiting. Do you know what I mean? Like waiting,
Yeah.
like And sometimes they don't even tell you, they just don't show up.
Yeah.
And you're like, I have a 15-minute rule. If they haven't come, like you messaged, like when you was having internet problems, like you messaged me and you were like,
send you proof.
you did. And I'm so grateful for that, because I was just like, oh, bless her.
Oh
Like,
my God,
I will wait for you. It's fine. And we would have figured it out one way or another. But like, there's people that just don't show, and there'll be people for you as well, won't there, where they want to do those things and they don't show, and you have to create boundaries.
We had situations where people have just last minute cancelled a guest mix.
No.
And look, I understand genuinely that sometimes there is nothing you can do. Okay, let's say that you were going to do a guest mix, but then work put you on entirely night shifts for the entire week because there's been staff absence. What can you do about that? I have empathy. I totally get it. I'm a teacher. I know how it feels to work long nights, because in the start of my career, I basically made PowerPoints till 11 p.m. after working all day.
Oh, bless you.
I really understand how tiring and how draining that is. That's fine. And, it depends on how they communicate. If they message us or if they just call me and they're like, I'm really, really sorry, I really want to do it. Can we please reschedule? I'm always really open and understanding, because I understand that is a legitimate reason. But I've had people just literally just not reply, just ghost. It's so
literally
rude. And like, I've also messaged promoters who've just ghosted. Like I had like I tried to book someone for an event, again being very careful, and they just showed an initial message and then they said they were interested and then they just didn't reply. So I was like, right, so I could have just offered that to someone else. Now it's like I tried to be a bit understanding, because like, okay, maybe they just got overwhelmed, life things going on, I don't know what's going on in this person's life. But it's also like, just message quickly and just say, can't do it, thank you for the offer. Takes 2 seconds. And I'm like, okay, fair enough. I say all of this, but I am like a chronically bad reply.
You're all good.
I will always reply to important things. So if I'm like booked for an event or guest mix or something, I always try to meet the deadline as much as I can. I think like when I've pulled out of an event, I've always been very honest about why. I always try to be as much as I can. I think the Jungle Cakes one I had to pull out of, which is really sad. I had gastritis. I was feeling really rubbish. And the guy understood, because he knows me and he knows that for me to pull out Jungle Cakes, like that's not. That was clearly like I wasn't joking, like I was not okay. And also nobody pulls out of Jungle Cakes here. It's like an amazing opportunity. So yeah, obviously that was, it is what it is. But I don't mind people pulling out of our events when they have legitimate reason. But we also have people like just drop out like on the day and be like, oh sorry, I can't come anymore. I feel a bit ill. Like, what? But for me, the frustration for an event is it's quickly resolved because you've got a roster of DJs. So you can just extend some people's sets, or you can just say you're not back to back anymore, you're doing separate set. It's fine. It's always easily resolved at an event. But when it comes to guest mixes, guys, and I say this to everyone, please, if you can't do a guest mix, please try and give actual proper notice. So like we've made like a rota, and now we're moving to fortnightly guest mixes and fortnightly interviews, so they'll swap between. Annalise, who's going to do a lot of our writing, she needs time to prepare. If you ghost her, or if you don't reply to her, like that could have gone to a different person, and that could have been someone else's opportunity to promote their brands they're desperate for. Like I know when I started promoting, I was desperate for opportunities to get our name out there. Like anything that we could, whether it's a takeover set, an interview, podcast, anything. I did everything because I was like, I just want people to talk about our brand, because that's sensible, is what you need to do. And also I was wanting people to talk about our brand, because I was like, they'll come to our events, or they might book us, or they might book me, and then or our residents, and like with guest mixes, we've now moved towards a creative theme challenge. So I've been very careful with who I've reached out to because I've tried my best to pick people who I know are reliable.
Exactly.
So for example, the first one that we have is the Kira Knightley. He's going to be out 30th of July, I believe. But the reason I approached him first is I know he's super reliable. I
Yeah.
know he will do it, and I know he did it, and he's already done it. He's ready. All I have to do is upload it now. He just needs to. I just need to do the artwork. But it's like that is like my dream, and I think one thing people say to me is like, why am I not getting booked, or like, why am I not approached by promoters more? I think part of it is just your general attitude. Like
Yeah.
I have worked with so many people who I've booked and then they've done no promo,
Mm.
or very limited promo. They've not shared ticket links, they've not talked about the event, or they've not really shown any interest in what your brand is about, or they've come really late, like their event, their set is at 1, so they turn up at midnight, after they've had pre-drinks at a different pub. And you're like, the whole point of what we're doing is venue closure, and we talk about drinks being like part of that awareness. I don't know
Absolutely.
if just people just don't think, but it's like you could have just come here and done the same thing and supported everyone else here.
Yeah.
But then you can't like tell people what to do. So it's like, then I just don't book them again. Now,
Yeah.
I've had other people who've shown up on time, who've tried really hard to stay till close. Sometimes they can't, 'cause they've got a train or whatever, but they've done their best. Or if they couldn't come for open, they stay till the end. If they got there at like 10 p.m., they try.
Yeah.
Or they do loads of promo, or they talk to their friends about it, or they've just shown an active enthusiasm to support you. They've messaged me to say, what can I do to help?
Yeah.
Um, I just want the event to go well as well. I would like to also have a crowd DJ too, because that benefits me as well. Um,
Absolutely.
and I always book them again. They're polite as well. And if you walk in if you're booked, if you want to make it in the city, in the local scene, here is my absolute crucial advice to you. And it's not just me, it's any promoter. Watch the promoter set. Go and watch the promoter set. Like, unless, like, fair enough, sometimes you can't get there on time, that's fine, whatever. But if you are booked for an event and you really are not afforded the luxury at this point in your career of regular bookings or regular relationships that will probably lead to bookings, like we are at this point purely because of the hard work and the graft that we've put in to get to this point. Just to add, like this didn't happen overnight. I've spent so long and so much money to get here. um it's a really good idea to show the promoter that you care about them and that you
Yeah.
care about their event. Like, go and watch at least the promoter set. You should watch everyone's if you can, like,
Absolutely.
obviously, but I think it's really important to show respect to the promoter. You don't have to kiss up to them or agree with everything they do. Like,
Networking, isn't it?
you don't have to, like, be over the top about it to the point that it's a bit cringe because it's obvious that you're just trying to get a set. I just mean like a polite, hey, thank you so
Be
much for booking
nice.
me. I'm looking forward to your set. And you stand even for like 20 minutes and get a video of them. Because actually, that's a really good point. Promoters never ever have, unless they've set up a videography system, no one ever takes a video or picture of the promoter because they're always worrying about other people. So often they get overlooked, and this has happened to me so many times where I've forgotten, and then I'm like, oh, I've got no videos to put on my socials. If you really want to be in their good books, it's always a good idea to get some videos of them. They'll definitely really appreciate it. But,
Absolutely.
but this is more for people, this advice is more for people who are like, how do I get booked? How do I build relationship? Like, most people in the scene just do this anyway because they're normal people.
We are, we're all just normal people, just trying to kind of get it out there. Do you know what I mean? And honestly, like it's like a whole thing, isn't it? And I could honestly keep going on and on and on about how much the grassroots community needs like so much support at the minute. So like for me, as soon as I'm off this call, I'm going straight on Instagram and I'll just share the shit out of your stuff. Sorry, that's my me not swearing now. But yes, share the devil out of it all. But it'll be amazing. Like, and honestly, I'm so grateful that you've been on and been able to share that sort of side.
Thank you for having me.
No, it's just people that like, they don't know. I mean, even stuff that you've talked about, like the statistics, for me, I didn't know any of that.
I know, it's really scary. I only know because I went out of my way to find it. That's the scary part.
Like, people don't typically look for it. So, no, because it doesn't affect them, but it does affect people. So
that's why we've made these to hand out. You can't really see with my
I see. No, you're good.
To hand out at Boomtown. We've made sticker packs and we've made bracelets. Hang on. These are not all of them. I've actually had to box.
I love those.
So they all say Create Kids. We've actually had to box up a couple of them. And then we've got
buy those online then?
Sticker pack.
Can you buy those bracelets online?
I'll just send them to you. But
thank you. I want one.
We've put all of these together so that we can hand them out to the younger generation. So we're gonna
what I started doing now,
but to target younger looking people.
That's what I'm thinking of like doing more of as well. I've already been asked as well, like another it's called ADHD and B. They've got like an and they've asked me if I can wear a t-shirt in one of my in one of my videos and stuff like that. But if I've got like a bracelet on, I'll literally wear it every single time. Like look at my bracelets. Like I love stuff like that because I like jewelry. That's my thing. So like absolutely be more than happy to help you out.
Actually, speaking of ADHD, when we're talking about boundaries, I have ADHD.
Me too.
What type do you have?
I've got the high functioning one, but it's like, is it whatever
hyperactive type?
I don't. It's kind of a blend of it's ADHD, so I've got like autistic traits.
Oh, right, okay.
But when I was diagnosed initially with ADHD, they put me down as the hyperactive type.
Oh.
But I go in stages actually, and I don't think that's correct. And then I was
combined.
I'm combined, so I was reassessed, and they were like, miss that little kind of bit where you get depressed and stuff like that. But like hyper all the time, love, like geez. But sometimes I do go through stages, and I'm doing like a whole study at the minute about how women's hormones relate to how we are with our ADHD. And I find I could do a whole bloody podcast on that. But yeah, I will honestly tell you now, like it is such a thing. So
absolutely, don't worry, I know. I have hyperactive type, so often people will say to me like, how do you do all these bracelets and all these sticker packs and all these things? And I always be like, guys, I have hyperactive ADHD, like there's just don't I get locked in and then it's 5 hours later and I've done like all this stuff. I can't explain it, it just happens. Like don't compare. Like I'm very, very hyperactive person and I have a lot of energy. Like
I have a lot of energy too, but then I've kind of got what I call a push-pull dynamic. So I've got the hyperactivity, like first thing in the morning, I'm raring to go, I'm living my best life. But then towards the afternoon, I get pulled very quickly. And suddenly I need to go to bed. I can't be asked to edit that podcast. I don't want to do anything. I have forms I have to fill out under the table. They're medical forms. I've had them 4 weeks. They're due in next Friday. I still haven't filled them in. And I will probably do them on the Wednesday because that's how I roll. But,
see, I find this... Oh, sorry, what were you saying?
Yeah, it's just annoying. Like,
so I find this really interesting because I also have bipolar type 1, and I've had a diagnosis for that since 2017, May 2017, I think. I don't know, it's been so long. It's been like nearly 10 years now. And I take lithium, and I've taken that since I was first diagnosed.
Nice.
I had a manic episode. Basically, I got put on antidepressants, and then I had a manic episode as a result of that.
Oh, bless
I
you.
shouldn't, well, I shouldn't laugh. It is a bit funny. More so because of the crazy escapades that I got up to, but that's for another time. Um, and then they were like, nope, this girl needs medication. And then they gave me lithium, and I've been on that like as a pretty much consistently, a couple of dips here and there. And I think it, the lithium, actually, I think my doctor has also told me he agrees with this, but I think the lithium has done me more favors for my ADHD
Yeah,
than just
yeah.
my mood.
You're
So
not the
it's
first
like
person to tell me that. Yeah,
I have noticed that like since my lithium has actually been a stable therapeutic dose, my mood is so much more stable. I do have depressive episodes and I do have low periods, but
mm,
that's now usually externally impacted. So it'll be like something has happened in my life that is reasonable. I know this probably sounds odd to some people because obviously they're like, well, yeah, obviously something happens in your life, you get sad. But with bipolar, obviously it's not that straightforward. And now it's got to a point where like something will happen and then I'll feel sad or I feel a bit depressed. And I'm actually kind of like, oh wow, it's quite nice to be like sad for a legitimate reason. Because like I remember like a few years ago, like some my life was like not good and like there was stuff going on that was making me really stressed and I was like so happy I was having the best time ever, which obviously is not good with bipolar, so I have to be very careful.
yeah.
I have a very good relationship with my doctor. I regularly see him. I've had caretakers from the NHS who've like come over to do wellness checks and things and
That's
all sorts.
amazing.
Yeah, but I'm pretty stable. But like I will say like I have had to be more careful with my boundaries because over the last couple of months, um, I I realized I was doing everything, pretty much. Not okay, not everything, that's not fair. A lot, I was doing a lot, and there were some things that were being done by other people, but I took on, no one is going to challenge the fact that I took on the brunt of the workload and I
Yeah,
paid for most of the stuff. And not, I mean, like emotional feelings aside about how it was just frustrating after a while, um, I realized that this was so bad for my bipolar.
I can
Uh,
imagine. Yeah,
ADHD it wasn't great either, but bipolar wise, I was crashing to a point that I was like, if I continue this dynamic in this system, I'm going to have an actual episode, and I don't know if I'll be here anymore, which is
yeah,
horrible to say out loud. And it reached the point, I'm not joking, where I was genuinely that depressed that I was like, I don't actually, like, I was having very intrusive thoughts. And I was that's how much I was working and how stressed I was feeling. And I quickly realized, like, no, this is the bipolar.
yeah,
Like,
yeah, yeah, yeah,
this is,
yeah.
you're on medic, you are okay, you're on
You're
med, you'll
yeah.
be okay. And I had to almost like talk to myself. I looked around my room and it was just covered in boxes of crap, of like crackhead stuff, and just so messy with like all the promo stuff I had. And I just said to myself, like, I can't do this anymore like this. It's not healthy.
Yeah, exactly.
And I had to go so admin, and I had to be honest with myself. I could not be in that dynamic anymore. Because I was like, if I'm gonna run things, I want to be in control
Yeah,
fully of how I'm doing it, and I want to be in control of the relationships that I have with people, and I want them to be separate from what I'm doing because it's not healthy.
absolutely. No, you're
Because
right.
I was also getting to a point where I was having to lean on the team a lot for my own mental support because I was really struggling. And I don't know if they had the capacity, honestly, to be able to support me with that either, which is completely fair. But yeah, and I think like when we talk about promoting and drum and bass, like a lot of people talk a lot about kind of anxiety and about that side, but I don't think apart from like 2 people in the scene, I don't think I'd met anyone who has bipolar.
I have.
And it's and or diagnosed bipolar, to be fair, because I've met people who've said that they think they might have it, but they're not diagnosed.
Do you know what
And
I
I
think?
do think it's a bit difficult because it's like with ADHD, I understand it's a bit more so you can kind of self-manage. With bipolar, it's very hard to self-manage.
No,
It's
you're right.
really hard. Like I can't self-manage. Every time I've stopped my meds, I've been in a dangerous situation of not being well. Like you have to take meds in majority of cases. And with yeah, I haven't really met anyone who gets it or gets like how easy it is to fluctuate between mood. Um, I'll be fine, and everyone will be like, "Yay, Jabba's doing really well," and then I'll be really not fine.
I know the feeling, trust me.
Like huge dip, and then that
Yep.
will last weeks.
What I would
And
love is to have
it's
you on for
horrible.
like a whole thing about that, because
Yeah,
I do have to go out in a minute. I have to go get my little one
that's
from
fine.
nursery. No, you're fine. But it's like I just been sat there. I've just been like brainstorming, and I'm like, there could be an entire episode about that, because I genuinely have interviewed 2 people with bipolar. And there's a couple of other ones with like other mental health conditions and stuff like that. And I think that would be a really great episode, because we need to normalize it, because
Yeah.
there's such a stigma on mental health, and there shouldn't be anymore.
Well, it's also
Um,
just the fact that people just assume that we're just happy and
everyone's
sad. And it's just like,
literally, and it's
no,
so many
I'll
layers.
have, as I said, I'll be having like a really good life experience, be like all these amazing things happening, and I'll be
And
like
boom.
chronically
Yeah.
depressed, and I'm like, I don't understand.
Why am I sad? I mean,
I
everything's
don't know
going well.
why.
Like, yeah, it's a whole thing. But honestly, like, thank you so much for coming on. Like, it's been incredible to have you on. So thank
Oh,
you.
thank you so much. It's been such a
I'm
pleasure.
going to share all your stuff now, like mass sharing. But yeah, I'll keep in
Oh,
touch. And honestly, you're going to go and do an amazing thing. So I really appreciate you being here. So
thank you, lovely. And it's been such a pleasure to talk to you as well. Looking forward to listening
thanks.
back to our
I
ramble.
know. I know, it'd be like a feature set. Like,
I know, sorry, we've talked for ages.
no, you're fine. Thank you so much for watching. You can find me on all social media platforms at Base and Boundaries. Check me out on Burton Radio for the B2B takeover. And also, if you're in a position to support the channel, I would really appreciate it. You can find all the details in the description.